Okay, so this topic that we're learning is called quadratic equations or quadratic functions. Okay, so what is a quadratic? It's a function that contains an x squared in it. Okay? Last year, everybody in grade 10 learned linear functions. Do you remember graphing lines?
No.
You did. Do it.
I took it as a graph.
Linear.
We don't need an explanation, bro.
Okay, so last year you did something with just an x in it, not an x squared. Okay, so last year you did this kind of graphing stuff. So now we're going to switch to graphing equations with an x squared in it instead of an x. Okay, so we're going to talk about the key features of this graph. Okay, forget this for a second. This is a little bit too much. Okay, so here's what we know. Every quadratic graph, when we graph it, is going to have a vertex. Okay, so if I look at my graph, this is the vertex. Okay, it's a turning point. So a vertex can either look like this or like this. It can either be on the bottom or on the top. So when it's on the bottom of something, we use the word min on the bottom, minimum. Does that make sense? And if it's on the top, it's maximum. Would you agree with me that that's kind of... Okay, Kyle, we're going to move you to those high tables today because I can't talk over everybody all the time. We're gonna make a statement that that's smack dab in the middle. Okay, and do you know that there's going to be symmetry then on each side of it? Does that make sense? Okay, then we're going to have roots or zeros or x-intercepts. These words are kind of interchangeable. They just mean the same thing, but in the equation or on the graph. That's just the different names for them. Okay, but we are going to, on your calculator uses the word a zero. Your calculator will use the word 0. And you need to know that a 0 on your calculator means the x-intercepts. Okay, and you've done x-intercepts on linear graphs. So the definition of an x-intercept is where y is 0. Does that make sense graphically? The height of those points is 0. They're on the y-axis, or on the x-axis. Okay, so in the calculator, those things are going to be called 0. Okay, so the next up is called the axis of symmetry. So you can kind of see this on my graph. So an axis of symmetry is if you could just cut this thing right in the middle, right? Symmetry. This side could like fold like a sandwich, right? You should have learned this in grade 10, which I'm sure you all don't remember. But when you graph a line that's just straight up and down, the equation of it will just be x equals, and then some number. So in grade 10, you learned what I call special lines. X equals, without a y in it, is this way, and a y equals is flat. Okay, so now domain talks about x, and it has to be written in left to right order. Left to right. And a range talks about all the y values. Okay, so you're supposed to have learned this in grade 10 as well, these words. Okay, and it will always be written low to high. Has to be in that order. Okay, so we also know round brackets mean don't include. And if you are using square brackets, include, so like an exact thing. Okay, so there is kind of a sample of a quadratic. Okay, so let's talk about the domain. How far left does this graph travel? Infinitely left. So I'm going to go negative infinity because there's going to reach more and more negative numbers. How far to the right is this going to travel? Positive infinity. Then the range, it's going to be on the bottom some kind of like number depending on the graph. And then how far up would this go? Infinity. But what if we did this one? Would you agree with me that the domain would be written as the same? Okay, and then range is a little bit different. Why? Because it has to go low to high, so it looks different. So what would you do on that one? What's a low part? How low is this one going? Negative infinity. It's going down, 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 down. And then on the highest, it will hit a specific exact number, right? Okay. Here we go. Turn your calculators on. Okay, so everybody should have a mouse or a cursor that's blinking. If your screen looks too dark or light, how do you change it? You go second, the yellow button, second up. Can you see my screen is getting darker? Second up, so it's at a darkness of 9 right now. And if I go second down a bunch of times, you can see mine's going from 9, okay, 8, 7. Pick which brightness you like. So second up or second down, you can see here that means the shading. Okay? Okay, so now I want you to go to the button called Y equals. Y equals. I'm not sure, if anybody has stuff in there, this button is called clear. It will get rid of anything if you have stuff in there. Okay, so we want to graph x squared. So I need you to push this button right here, because this is a variable button. X. Hit the X button like that. And then if you want to square something, it's over here. X squared, when you want to square something. So does everybody have that? Good? Okay, hit this button called zoom. Okay, I'm going to go down to number 6. It's called a standard grid. So a standard grid will always do this. it'll be 10 by 10, and each tick will be 1. That's just standard. Okay, so if you hit 6, that's what it does. It gets a 10 by 10, and each tick is 1. Just a basic graph. Okay, does everybody have that? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to draw what we see. So on my graph, okay, this is what I see. It was right smack dab in the middle on the origin, right? And then up like that. Okay, now we got a new graph. So here we go. So, sorry, this is going to be called the original to compare with. This is the original graph. We're always going to compare ourselves to this one. Okay, because it's just x squared, nothing else in there. Okay, hit your y equals button. Now I'm going to insert a negative sign. So you can do insert by hitting second delete. It inserts. So if I want to put something in front, okay, and my negative button is beside the enter. This is a negative button. Okay, please know this difference. This is negative number and this is operation subtract. Those are different buttons. So do we look like that? Negative x squared? Good? I'm just going to hit the button graph because it'll remember that I was on that just normal grid. If I hit graph, it's just going to use the same grid. Good? Please stop me if we're missing stuff because you're behind me. Okay, what visually did you see happened? Give me a word. What happened? I'm going to use the word. It flipped. You like that word? I don't like the word down because moving down is different than flipping. Okay, let's go over here. So go back to your y equals button. Go move your cursor and then hit subtract 3. Not negative 3, hit subtract 3. I don't want that negative. I got to go back and delete that. You're right. Thank you. Sorry. Delete that negative in the front there because now we're just back to x squared. Subtract 3. I'm just going to hit graph button. Subtract, not negative 3, subtract 3. Yeah. Okay, does your screen look something like that? Can you hit this button for me? Can you hit the button called trace? If you hit the button trace, I call it like my mouse cursor comes onto my graph. And I can move that around. So this is 0, negative 3. Okay, but you can move your cursor right and left. And these are all coordinates on your graph. You can move that cursor around. These are all points on your graph. Okay? There's also this. What's the coordinate when I'm at 1? If you hit 1, enter, it just goes to a different coordinate. Hit 1, enter, and it'll go to a coordinate. Did you get 1, negative 2 as a coordinate? Okay. Also this feature, I'm going to go to the table of values right here. So do you understand I have to push yellow graph because it's yellow? So second graph, and here's the table of values. So we already knew 0, negative 3 was a coordinate. 1, -2 is another coordinate. Okay, so these are a bunch of coordinates that are on this graph as well that I can see there. How do I go back? I'm going to hit quit. So I have to go second mode to quit. And if I want to go back to see my picture, what do? Graph in it. And then I can get back to that too. Okay, so let's talk about this. What happened? Here's my original. Now it looks like this. So give me some words on what happened to it. What's a good word to use? It moved down. Right? Do you see it went down 3? Go back to your y equals button and change to a +4 on that. You probably can maybe predict what it's going to look like in your head before you do it. Hit graph. Do you notice how I'm drawing arrows on there? Okay, your graph doesn't have that, but you have to understand that it's going off the page and keeps going, right? That's an arrow situation. Okay, let's go to this one. Good? So go back to your Y screen. I'm just going to clear this and retype. Clear, clear, clear button. Brackets. X, subtract 2 bracket. And then squared. Bracket, x subtract, not negative, subtract 2, bracket squared. Graph. It should look exactly like I wrote it on your paper. Bracket, x -2. Do you find your brackets, everybody? Those ones are pretty straightforward. Brackets. Okay, so what am I looking at on my screen? It moved to the right. You're correct. It moved right. It moved right 2. Okay, does that make your brain hurt? Because why? Looking at this, it's subtracting 2, but then it moved right. Does that seem weird to your brain? Okay. It moves kind of in a opposite thought, right? Because here, subtract 3 moves down. That seems normal. But here, subtracting moves right. That's abnormal, right? That's an opposite thing happening. Okay? Tricky. But yeah, that's what it's going on. All right, back to y equals. You can just move your cursor and replace the subtract with +3. You can just override. I'm going to call it override, just put on top. Okay, does your screen look like this? That kind of idea on your screen? So words are left 3. And again, it happened to be opposite of what my brain thought, because plus moving left, okay, that's an opposite math idea, right? Okay, so now we're going to add some number in the front here. So go y equals, clear, just retype 3x squared. Okay, we're always using this variable. This is called the variable button. So 3x squared, graph it. Okay, here's what You know what? I want you to do this. You know how you have y equals 3x squared in there? Can you go down to the y2? Move your cursor down. And can you type x squared? And then hit graph. And they're going to both be on the picture. So what changed? This is the original. And this is the new one. So it got narrower. The arms of it moved, right? Okay, I'm just going to be clearing stuff. Okay, I'm going to go 1/2 x, and I'm just going to always think when I'm doing fractions, 1 divided by 2, I may as well put it in brackets just to always be safe. With fraction stuff, 1 divided by 2 brackets, 1/2 x squared.
What's that funny little fraction?
It's just divide. I just hit divide. Yeah. 1 divide by 2. Okay, I didn't push any special thing there. It was just divide button. Graphing. Okay, do you need your original on there too to see what kind of happened? So if I do y and then I put my original also on here at the same time, what happened? The arms it widened. Okay, and I'm talking about those arms, how those arms are looking. Okay, so here is what we did. We took the equation x squared and we did a bunch of things to it. We could put a number in front of it, a times there in the front of it. Okay, I did that here, I did that here, and I did that here. I put a times there in the front. Sorry, I should use the same letters I used on your paper. I think I used an H. That's an H. That's what I wanted to use, sorry. I could put a number in the brackets with it. I could also put a number detached, like afterwards. Okay, do you see how we did all those different things at different times? But I could do all of those things. I could do them all together as well. Okay, so here's what I know. If this number in the front is positive, it will cause my parabola to stay opening upward like that. But if I multiply it by negative number, guess what's going to happen to my shape? Remember that? Causes that to happen. If A is bigger than 1, so where did we see that me multiplying by a big number? We did this. What happened? Narrowed. Causes it to narrow. If A is less than 1, like the half, we did the half, what happened? It made it look wider. Okay, so we did a brackety number. So look here, this one made it move right too. So remember we thought this was weird because it did an opposite. So if I'm going to subtract a number in the brackets, it's going to move right. And then if it's add, it's going to move left. So it's opposite. And you know what my formula tells me? Because you get a formula sheet. Look at it, says subtract. And as soon as you say a negative value, you're doing the opposite of what you look at. And then when I after add a number, it will move up. And if I'm after and I subtract a number, it will move down. Okay? And in the formula on the formula sheet, it says plus a number. So if you add something in a formula, you just do what you see. Hold on here, I don't know. Okay, so skip one example, we'll go to this one. Okay, so you're going to let your calculator do most of your work. So you're going to clear whatever you're going to got in there. Okay, so you're going to type in x squared subtract 4x subtract 6. Okay, all those buttons are the subtracts, not negatives, subtracts. Okay, now we're going to add some new calculator stuff. Ready? So do you remember my screen? It's 10 by 10. Would you be okay understanding? I would really like to see a little bit more down here. Does that make sense? Can you go to your window? Which item here would cause me to see lower? Which option do you think makes me go lower? Y min. Okay, so go down to Y min. So remember we were like 10 by 10. So I'm going to go negative, what do you want to do, like 15? Does that look okay? A little bit lower? Graph it. Okay, I like that better. Okay, so you can change your window to see different. Okay, so let's go rough sketch. Okay, so this is my screen. All right, so here's what we're going to do. The direction of opening. Is this shape heading up like a U, or is it flipping down? It's just facing up. The bowl is facing up. Okay, vertex. Ooh, this is going to get crazy. Ready? Here's the vertex. It's at this bottom spot. What did we call the bottom? We had a name for it, and it started with an M. Minimum. Okay, you ready? How about you watch me? Don't do anything. Don't touch. Okay, here we go. I'll do it twice. I'm going to go to this button called calculate something. So I have to push second trace. Okay, look at this. The menu option has a minimum. So I'm going to hit minimum. The directions on the calculator screen say, can you go left of the minimum? So do you see how my mouse is? So here's my minimum. So I'm going to move my mouse somewhere so that it's on the left side. I'm going to hit enter. Now it tells me, can you go to the right side of it? So I'm kind of good right there. Enter. Then it says, okay, the calculator is going to guess. So I'm going to make it guess with one more enter. And the coordinate is 2, -10. Okay, so what you're doing is saying, can you figure it out, calculator? It's between here and here. So here we go. Ready? Second calculate. We decided we were looking for a minimum point. Okay, you have to use the left and right arrows. So move your blinking cursor somehow on the left side of it. Good. Hit enter. Okay, now use your right button. Move your blinker to the right side of it. Enter. Okay, and then it says to guess it, so that you want it to guess, so hit enter. So here's what I did. I calculated a minimum. I said go to the left of it, to the right of it, and then I got to that coordinate. Okay? How did it go? Did we end up getting it? E? Success?
Yeah, exactly 2.
Sometimes, look at mine, it's like 2.000006, or sometimes it might be 1.999999999. I don't know why. Is that what yours had or something? Yeah. Okay, axis of symmetry. So what is that? If I could just cut it in half. Okay, so on this graph, if I could cut it in half, right, that's me cutting it in half. So a vertical line is called x equals. Does anybody know on the graph which x value would this go through? Because it goes through my vertex. So what's the x value it will go through? 2. It goes through my vertex, correct? The vertex is in the center of it all. To be symmetric, you're in the center. So x equals 2. All right. X-intercepts. This is next. Now we use the word 0. This is a 0. Okay, we're going to do this with our calculator. Our calculator is going to figure it out for us. So I'm going to tell you this. So if I find this one, I'm going to calculate a 0. Okay? Don't do it first. Let me do it. And it's going to do the same thing as the vertex. It's going to say, can you move to the left of it and then the right of it? So when it says left, I'm going to move my cursor here and push enter. And when it says, can you go to the right of it, I'm going to move it here and push enter, and then guess, and then push enter. So it's the same process. Okay, ready? Second, calculate. Okay, it's option 2. Do you see it on your menu? You're going to get a 0. Can you find your blinking cursor? Can you move it? It technically has to be above it, to the left of it. Everybody's about here? Good? Okay, I'm going to hit enter. Now what does it tell you at the bottom? Move to the right of it. So move right. And it technically makes you go below it. Good? Enter. Enter. Negative 1.16. It's got a height of 0, but it's, is that what you mean? Oh, the cursor? It doesn't matter. As long as you're on the left side or right side of it. It doesn't matter. You could be a little bit or a lot of it. I don't know. As long as you're specifically on the sides of it. Okay, so we're going to do that over here. So I'm going to get a 0. What would your mouse look like if you want it to be on the left side of it? You would need to be here. This is to the left of it. And then where's your mouse when you move to the right of it? Do you see that? Does that make sense? Left and then right. So put your mouse between that. Success? 5.16. Yay? Nay?
I think my Y is something
Yeah. This means like point 0.0000000000001. Like imagine 12 spots over. So basically 0. Yep. 5.16. Okay, so here's next. Next is the y-intercept. So do you know what a y-intercept looks like? You're on the y-axis. So this coordinate is going to be something like this. 0, comma, like some height, right? Does that make sense? So if you know the x value, the x is the boss. If you know the x value, just tell your mouse to go there. So you're going to go trace 0 and then just enter. You just say, hey, can you move your mouse there? If you know x, you can go anywhere. So 0, enter, and it went there. Does that look good? Did you get there? So if you know an x, you can just boss it around. All right, so now here's what we're doing next, domain. So guess how left this goes. So if you look at my graph, how left is this heading? Negative infinity. How right is it going? Positive infinity, right? It's going to keep going and going. Okay, and then the range. Think about it like this. Okay, what's the lowest height? And then what's the highest height? So the lowest height is going to be something specific. Where would you get that number from? Vertex. Because the vertex, and what is this height? Negative 10. And then it would travel infinitely. Okay, and then I'm going to stop because that last question is for tomorrow.